Hi, my name is Susan Karczewski and I'm a published jewelry designer and an instructor for JewelryLessonVideos.com. And today I'm going to show you 3 different ways to take a bead and turn it into a wire wrap pendant. So let's get started. For this project you will need 20 gauge round wire, 3 stones approximately 1.5 inches in length, 1/8 inch dowel rod, needle nose pliers, and a pair of wire cutters. For our first demonstration how to take a bead and turn it into a pendant, we will take our 20 gauge round wire. We're going to cut off 3 times the size of the stone doubled. So you take your stone and you can kind of just estimate 3 times the size. 1, 2, 3. Doubled. So we're going to cut 2 pieces of that off. There's one. And so for my other piece, I can just use the wire that I've already cut. We'll take this one here. And we're going to cut off the same exact amount for our second piece of wire. So we have 2 pieces doubled that are approximately 3 times the size of the stone you're going to be working with. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to straighten out our wire. And for this one, we're going to take one of the wires and just go right up the middle like this. And pull the stone all the way to the bottom. Go right up the middle like this. For the next step, we're going to take 24 inches of our 20 gauge round wire, which I have pre-cut. We're going to open that up, straighten that out. We're going to take our 1/8 inch dowel rod, our wire working tool, take the wire and our 2 fingers here, our thumb and our index finger, and hold the wire up to the rod, and we're going to just coil the wire on here. And you can also just spin the rod too. There's different ways you can wind wire. So you can either spin it or you can take your hand and actually keep winding the wire around the rod. So that's what I'm doing right now. Taking 24 inches of round wire and wiring it onto a dowel rod. So we're going to keep doing that. And you don't have to be real close because sometimes you can push this together with your fingers, or you can use the needle nose pliers to push things together. So if you don't want to wire real tight, usually you can get your wire back together at some point. So you just continue to wrap the wire in straight lines around the dowel rod. You don't want to overlap. That doesn't make a nice design on your coiling. If you overlap, you want to keep it straight. So we'll get that all on the rod here. Okay. And then at the very end, you can take this part, get it around with your pliers. Okay, so that's a little loose right in here, so I'm going to either take my hand or my pliers and push it together so it's like a nice spring. And then we're going to pull that off the rod, just like that. And then you have your end here where you started. We're going to clip a little bit of that off and then tuck this around so it's not sharp. Make sure our coil looks nice. We're going to take that coil and we're going to fold it in half, like this. And we'll take our wire cutters right in the center, so we have two sides now. And then we're going to have to finish this back off since we cut it there. Make sure it goes back around nice. It's finished off. Same with this side. Get it back to where it looks nice. Finish it off here. Okay. So now on the sides of our bead where we started the wires, we're going to take one coil and slip it onto the wire. Like that. And we're going to take the other coil here and we're going to slip it onto the wire. Bring it all the way down. And we'll take these around the sides of the stone. And right at the top here, we're going to cross our wires so that we can anchor this. Cross the wires right in the center and make a twist twice. 1, 2. So we have these anchored on the sides. So now we're going to make our bail. To make our bail, we're going to bring these two in the center forward while the other two are out to the side horizontally. We're going to take our finger and wrap this around to make a little bail. Squeeze it together with the pliers right here so it's not so fat. We want a nice thin bail. And then while you hold these wires together, you're going to take one of them and go around the top. 1, 2. That anchors the wire. We still have our 4 wires at the top. And for this pendant, we're going to use our dowel rod again to make a fancy design. I call it my party coil because it looks like fun when you get done. So we can cut these off at various lengths. Say we'll go 1.5 inches here. We'll go about 2 inches on this side. Over here we'll cut it here. Varying lengths gives it more dimension, I think. We're going to take our 1/8 inch dowel rod again. And now we're going to start it at the end here by holding the wire together with our thumb and our index finger and the dowel rod. You're just going to grab the wire and wrap it around the rod. Like that. And you can take that coil, cut a little bit off the end here. And then we're going to tuck that in so that it's not poking anything. And so we're going to do that with this one here. We're going to take our rod and our finger and make a coil. Just keep twisting. Cut a little bit off. And then tuck that little end in. Same with that one here. Take your thumb and index finger in the dowel rod, hold it together, and you can coil. Cut your end off and tuck that in. We got one more. And you can arrange these. You can bend this with your pliers or your hand to make the kind of design that you'd like with these wires. You want them bending down or in front of the stone. If you like them up, whatever you want to do with the coils, you can give it your design expertise. And that was our first demonstration how to take a bead and turn it into a pendant. For our next bead pendant, we are going to do a simple style. I have pre-cut 12 inches of 20 gauge round wire. And to begin, we're going to take the wire at one end and we're going to make a small loop. So you're going to take your needle nose pliers in about a 1/2 inch. You'll make a right angle with the pliers away from you. Go to the end and you'll roll back with the pliers gently up the wire to make a loop. Nice small turns. That's how you make a nice loop. Just like that. So we will take that loop and our wire and go through the bead. There we have our bead bottom, and so we need to make a top for our pendant, so we're going to do the same thing we did at the bottom. We're going to make a right angle away from you like this, and we're going to take our pliers and we're going to roll back to make a loop. We're going to take the rest of the wire and finish it around like this. And we're going to twist that. And for this one to finish off our stone, I'm just going to simply keep twisting the balance of my wire to make a decorative design at the top of the stone. You just keep twisting nice and gentle so that the wire lines up right on top of each other. And you can take this around, this little part that you have left, down to the bottom of your beginning loop and anchor this. You can cut this off. And tuck that in. And you can straighten out your loop at the top for your bail. You have a nice, simple, but elegant bead pendant. For our last example, we're going to use coils to make a bead pendant. So I have pre-cut 2 pieces of 20 gauge round wire into lengths 3 times the stone length doubled. So you can take your stone and you would go 1, 2, 3, and then you would double the wire to get your length. That's just a good judge when you're wire wrapping. You need at least 3 times the stone length. So I've pre-cut those, and I'm going to take one of the wires and at the very bottom we're going to make a coil. And to make a coil, take your needle nose pliers to the very end of the wire and you will make a little small loop onto the wire. And then to make a good coil, you take your pliers and your wire and you go horizontal and you just do small right turns with your needle nose pliers and roll up the wire. This makes a very nice coil. You can make coils faster, but this is the correct way. It makes a very tight, nice coil. And it's easy to do, really. You're just rolling up the wire. And you can make that how long you want. I'm going to go around maybe 2 or 3 times, as you can see. Put this coil at the bottom of the stone. I'm going to go in through the bottom of the stone with the wire. So we have a nice coil for the bottom. Now we're going to make our loop at the top, our bail. We're going to make a right turn at the top. We're going to bring the wire around to make a nice loop. We're going to come around here, wind it around a few times. And we're going to take our other wire at this point, because we're going to do some design work on here. We're going to add this one on. So at this point we're going to take this in the middle, and we're going to wrap this around where we just made our twist and add this wire on. So you just take that way and this that way. We'll just add the wire on. So now we have 3 pieces of wire on. Just make sure it's secure. Now I'm going to do some coiling at the top with these other pieces here to make this look a little bit more fancy. So we're going to cut off a piece here about 2 inches. And this one can be either a little longer if you want, or shorter. When you make coils, you don't have to have them the same length. Again, we're going to go at the top and make our half loop. We had some extra wire, but it's always better to have more wire than less. So now we're doing one of our coils. We're just rolling up the wire. And then I'll decide where I want to put those after I get the other ones done. Rolling up the wire. And we got the last one. You can decide what side of the stone or bead you like to be the front. I think for this one I'm just going to keep these nice and up at the top so it's a fancy top. So we can see the whole pretty stone. And get this last one over to the middle and finish it. So I'm going to make these coils nice and tight up at the top. And then we can position our one at the bottom, how you like that to sit on the bead. And that was our last example of how to make a bead into a pendant. Thank you for watching my jewelry lesson today, and look for more videos to come from JewelryLessonVideos.com.